What's going on, YouTube? What's up, Raider Nation? I'm Bubba the Raider coming at you. Today it is the eve of the draft. This is take 2 for me. I recorded a whole video that I did 2 mock drafts, one of what I think the Raiders will do tomorrow and one of what I would do if I was calling the shots. And the draft played out the way it does here. And I've not done a video with a screen recording like this before off my phone, so I didn't realize that I did not have my audio on. So I'm going to do it again. However, this time I'm just going to do what I would do. However, and I will with each one I'll just say what I think that they will do tomorrow. This is a really odd draft. There's no one that's really standing out aside, from Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter as the guys that are like, and Ashton Jeanty, obviously, the guys that are like so far and away above everyone else. But it's also a class that feels really deep. Like you're going to get good starters far into this. I feel like every team's going to walk away with guys who will contribute for a while. So it's been really hard to kind of place my finger on where a lot of these prospects stand with me. So with that said, I've got some guys I really like, and I'm going to do my best. So here we go. So I'll start this up. So, yeah. So for me, what I would do here is I would, if possible, trade down. I don't think the Raiders are going to be able to trade down here. And so, because I don't know that anyone's going to be trying to move up. If it was me, like, yeah, the Bears might be. I might go in this, try to grab a first and a second, or, yeah, like a first and a second. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick and pick. But I think that that's what I would ultimately like to do. I feel like that every year. What I think the Raiders will do in this situation, if the board fell this way, is take Armand Membao, okay, or Will Campbell. I like Will Campbell, I think, a little bit more, but I like Armand Membao. My biggest problem with him is sometimes I feel like he has kind of soft hands. He doesn't come in with heavy hands. He doesn't pop quite the way that I would like to see. But he's really technically sound and really athletically gifted. Will Campbell's got the arm length questions. I don't know. But ultimately, what I'm going to do here is something that sometimes the most obvious pick is the right pick, and I'm going to take Ashton Jeanty, and we're going to call it a day there. But yeah, I think that the Raiders would take, and probably will take, either Jalen Walker or Armand Membao. Now, one thing I'm almost certain that we will do is we're going to take a corner with this pick here. And really, I think it's going to be Siobhan Ravel. That's who I think we're going to take, but that's not who. Ooh, Tyler Booker's here, and that would be a really good pick. He's going to be in the first round, but I'm going to take my favorite thing to pair with Ashton Jeanty, and that's going to be Jaden Higgins. I also think he's a first-round pick. He's a really big, talented boundary receiver. And I think he can fill that. I'm not saying he is DK Metcalf, not at all, but he can fill that kind of role. So I'm going to take Jaden Higgins here. This is the fun thing to do. But I think that pick would go to Siobhan Ravel. I think that's who they will take. Norman Lott's a stud. I think he's going to be gone by this pick. I also don't really think he is necessarily this type of player that we need to invest in early on. I did this in my last mock draft where I had Darian Porter. I picked him. We need corners so bad, and he feels like a Pete Carroll kind of a guy, really athletic, really tall boundary corner. I think if my first 2 picks went the way the Raiders were going, which was Siobhan Ravel in the second and and Mimbao in the first. I think that they would take RJ Harvey here. He's very much Bucky Irving like, and I love Bucky Irving. I'm a big Raider or a big I'm a big Raider fan, but a big Ducks fan. I'm going to go ahead and snag Darian Porter, but I've done enough of these to know the guy who I want in the fourth is going to be gone. But that's okay. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So I'm going to take Darian Porter here, back to back, big boundary Iowa State guys. Yep, he just went. So what I would love to see here, this is what my dream would be. Like, this class would be pretty much my dream class. And then if Jamari Caldwell would have fallen 2 picks down, I know I said I'm a big Ducks fan. This is a guy who is exactly what I think we need. He's a explosive, talent-rich, big body one technique who can eat up blocks, who can help in the run, and I think he'd be a perfect complement to what we have in Christian Wilkins and our entire D-line. However, he's gone. So I'm going to go with Danny Stutzman here. This is a very promising linebacker who can come in. He's a big guy. I don't necessarily know that this is what we need the most, but I think his talent is just going to be, it's going to be a lot to pass up on. I also really am torn here with Devin Neal. I know we took Ashton Genty. I really think we need to double up on running back, but I'm going to go ahead and take Stutzman here. Stutzman. So I think, like, right off the rip, this is 4 guys. Stutzman might not contribute right away. It just depends. I mean, he'll contribute, but I don't think he'll start right away. But these first 3 guys would be genuine day one starters for us, which is what you're looking for. When you start getting down here, you end up in the 5th and the 6th and the 7th. You take guys who you want to bet on their traits. So one guy whose traits I would definitely bet on is Robert Longerbeam. I was really interested in watching him from Rutgers. Kind of hard to find some tape on him, but he is a very athletic, quick, talented kind of ball hockey. I don't know if his numbers really, his numbers don't really confirm that, but when you watch him on tape, there's a lot of traits there, and that's kind of what you want here. So I'm going to double up on corner because we're going to need it. I'm going to take Robert Longerbeam here. I think, sorry, I didn't even talk about what I think the Raiders will do. I think with that 4th pick, they're going to take Will Howard, if I'm honest. I think that's a guy who Chip Kelly's got a history with, and that's ultimately what I think they'll do. I think they'll also go corner in that 5th round pick, someone like a Robert Longerbeam or Azaf Frazier, another tall corner that is what you've seen them do, Seattle do successfully in the past. All right, this is where I'm going to take a guy with a ton of question marks, but also a ton of upside, and that's going to be Dayon Walker. Okay, this is a guy who at one point was projected to be a 2nd-round pick. He's been all over the place. He is an explosive, big body guy who is inconsistent. He's got a lot of question marks, but he also has so much potential. I know that Quinn Ewers was there, and probably that's where they would go, or should go, but I didn't. I have some question marks about Quinn Ewers, some pretty big ones. Okay, keeping with the strategy of going traits-based, Bashal Tutin's really good. I say it all the time, I'm going to be a homer here. There's no world in any other draft class where Jordan James is a 6th-round pick. Jordan James is an incredibly talented running back. I'm all over the place. And I know that we took Ashton Genty, okay? I'm aware of that. But pairing him with a running mate, I think can be really promising. And Jordan James is just so good. So I'm going to take Jordan James. Yeah, Denzel Burke is an older guy. Let's see, how old is he? I mean, he's not that old, but he's been around for a long time. At one point, he was projected to be a first-round corner. I've already taken 2 corners, but we could use just so much help there. But etched in my mind is the first time the Ducks played Ohio State this year, and he just got burnt. So, I'm not going to go there. I think where I'm going to go is going to be another guy who is really, really just a promising, talented X receiver who is just going to be depth, but he is big and he is fast. I think, I'm not mistaken, but he was like the most prolific stat-wise pass catcher in the nation this year. What did he do? He had 16 touchdowns, 1,300, almost 1,400 yards. Just super, super solid. So I'm going to go ahead and take Nick Nash, San Jose State. Take a look at what we've got. So I feel pretty good about this class. And again, it's such a crapshoot at the end here. I mean, Kyle McCord would be a really good player to take at the end. Ultimately, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to grab Jay Higgins. He's a guy who's got some concerns, but he has been a solid contributor for Iowa, which is a really solid school that produces a lot of guys at the running back, linebacker, offensive lineman, those positions, tight end, obviously. They've pumped out a bunch. He's been a starter and has a lot of experience, and I think that could really be beneficial to us. I think that this is a guy potentially to go in that 6th round. I kind of fell off to say what I think the Raiders will do. I have a feeling that we're going to take a guy like a Jay Higgins in the late rounds. Our GM and our coach have a history of taking guys who have really contributed to schools like this at the linebacker position late in the drafts, and I think that that's one place we'll go. So I'm not sure what kind of a grade it's going to give me. Probably not great. Doesn't really matter. This thing is a crapshoot. You're not going to hit on everything, and the board will not play out this way. But that's 3 A's right off the rip. It's a pretty solid class. So get our star running back. I think we can get our wide receiver 1, or maybe he's a wide receiver 2, but big body X receiver. We get a really solid Pete Carroll type corner in the 3rd that can be starters right away. A really like a future starter and at least beginning of the year depth contributor at linebacker, another starting corner for us, and then a bunch of depth pieces with just a ton of upside that we didn't invest too much in. So I think it's a pretty good class. But you let me know what you think. Drop a like if you like this video, or a dislike if you dislike it. Leave a comment. Let me know who you like the most in this class. It'll be interesting to see what we do. I'll try to make a video after it's done, kind of giving you my thoughts. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And like always, just win, baby.